Well, joining us now is the Conservative Security Minister, Brandon Lewis. Thank you for being with us today.
Good morning.
Keen, of course, to talk about your offer on immigration policy. But first, I just want to address the Prince Andrew interview. I'm not sure if you've seen the whole interview, but what have you made of what you have seen?
Well, I haven't seen the whole interview, actually. I saw some of the clips that were allowed out in advance. But I think as a government minister, commenting on anything to do with the royal family is not particularly productive, particularly when I haven't seen the whole interview. I think the royal family as a whole is something personally I'm quite proud of. I think as a country, they do us a huge amount of good. We've got an amazing person as the Queen, doing amazing work for our country all the time, and actually forwarding our values around the world, and actually I think is a great testament to what we stand for as a British nation.
You're clearly someone who believes in the royal family, but
I do,
at the same time, if you look at what's happened with Prince Andrew, you must be concerned that this is damaging the royal family. I mean, he said in the interview he didn't regret his friendship with a convicted sex offender because the opportunities he got from it were useful. He said that he went to stay with Epstein after he was released from jail because he was too honourable. I mean, many people watching this feel he should have shown more concern for the victims.
Look, I can understand that. As I say, I haven't seen the interviews. I think to comment on something I haven't seen is difficult. As you say, quite rightly, yeah, I make no apologies for that. I think Prince Charles, the Queen, the whole of the royal family, I think, are a great asset for our country, and we all want to see them in a very, very positive light.
OK. Now, you, of course, are here because you want to talk about your immigration announcement. What exactly is it that the Conservatives are proposing?
Well, we've set out this week a few things. First of all, we will reduce immigration because when we leave the European Union, we will then pass an Immigration Act that brings in a points-based system. What we've also outlining today, actually, is that we are going to also restrict benefits so that when people come over from the European Union, they will have to wait, like everybody else, a fair and equal system with the entire world, wait 5 years before they can get access to benefits. So it's a much fairer system for everybody, both the British taxpayer, but also people equally and fairly around the world.
It's interesting you're emphasising the fairness there, that you want to be treating migrants in the same way if they come from the EU or outside of the EU. So does that mean you're levelling up for everybody, or are you levelling down? Because at the minute, of course, if you're an EU migrant, then it's easier for you to come here and you have access to more services and benefits.
And I think we have to recognise that when you go around the country, there's large parts of the country where people, understandably, have been frustrated for many years, that people can come here from the EU, never having contributed to the economy, and have pretty much immediate access to benefits. And what we're saying is we're going to put that right. We wanted to do this for some time, but you can only do this once you've left the European Union. And we've also been quite consistent around saying when we leave the European Union, we want to have a migration system, an immigration system that is equal and fair from around the world. It's
so
not
you're
about
levelling down, aren't you?
Well,
you're levelling down.
No, I would argue it's about fairness. It is about saying wherever you come from in the world, it's not about geography. If you're coming to this country, it's about what you contribute to our economy and to our communities.
But you're just saying it's about fairness and treating people equally, but it's pretty clear that EU citizens' rights and benefits access, for example, are being levelled down to the level of non-EU citizens. You're not levelling up.
Oh, no, we are quite right. We are saying to people, if you come from the European Union, you'll be treated like everybody from anywhere else around the world, that once we've left, you will have to wait 5 years for access to benefits. I just would like to clarify, though, anybody who's already here and is part of the EU settled status scheme, their rights are protected. They are absolutely clearly protected and in place. This will be for new people coming from the EU once we've left the European Union under a future immigration system.
You're kind of emphasising the changes to benefits, but it's important to point out, isn't it, that actually EU migrants, EU workers are positive contributors to the public finances because they end up paying more in taxes than they take out when it comes to services and benefits, actually unlike migrants from outside of the EU and actually unlike people who were born in the UK. So are you going after the wrong people here?
No, this is, again, I think this is absolutely fits with that kind of methodology. What we're saying is when people first come to this country, like any UK citizen, actually, you've contributed through your life to that benefit system, through the taxes that we all pay. And what we're saying for the EU citizens, after we've left the European Union, when they come, they will be in the same position, like the rest of the world. After 5 years, they'll have access, but that gives 5 years to be able to contribute to our economy in a way that anybody else would do. And I think that is a fair system, not just to the entire world, but to the British taxpayer as well.
I'm interested to know when this is coming in, because I can't help but think, you want to strike an ambitious trade deal with the EU next year. Boris Johnson does want to extend the transition if you're in government. Now, we know that in any trade deal, one of the first things that's on the table will be how migrants are treated. And this is going to be the sort of thing that is going to be up for discussion in a trade deal. So is this policy really worth the paper it's written on? Because it could be the first thing that goes out the window in these trade discussions.
Well, actually, this policy is a really good example of why we need a good, strong, clear, Conservative majority. because it's only with a Conservative majority that, first of all, we can get Brexit done. And
so when would it come in then? When would it come in?
January 2021. So what we'll do, and a very clear timeline about this. Well, what we're saying is, first we need to get Brexit done. Only a Conservative majority can deliver that. That's the difference between us and Labour at the moment. Once we've got a Conservative majority and we've left the EU, we will be passing an immigration bill. That immigration bill will include the points-based system, our new immigration system, and these changes in terms of how we deal with benefits, all of which will come into force in January 2021 when we've left the EU at the end of the implementation period. But only a Conservative majority can deliver that. Anything else, we're going to have another couple of referendums and Labour then arguing and campaigning against what they've campaigned for themselves in that bizarre situation they've got. We're very clear. We will get Brexit done by the end of January. We'll implement an immigration bill and this will come into force.
I'm just sceptical if your timetable is right, given the fact that this is going to be happening after a trade deal is struck, given the timetable you set out.
There's no need, Sophie,
of course, because preferential access for citizens will be one of the first things on the table when you're negotiating that trade deal, won't it?
I would say there's no need to be sceptical. Look, people were sceptical that the Prime Minister could renegotiate the withdrawal agreement, open it up and get it done. He got that done in under 90 days. And we've got a deal that a Conservative majority can pass, but we've got to work hard to get that majority, and then we can pass an immigration bill. We will have left the EU, we'll have a new, fresh, fair immigration system, and importantly, one that brings back control, where the British government controls who's coming into our country.
So when people are thinking about who they want to vote for in this election, would a Conservative government bring immigration up or down?
A Conservative government with this system will bring immigration down.
By how much?
We're not setting arbitrary targets, not getting into those kind of issues that we've had before. What we're saying is...
Just in case you missed them again, like 100,000.
Yeah, let's be very frank. I think one of the frustrations people have had, and I've had when I was doing immigration for a few months myself, is with these kind of arbitrary targets, when you're still in the EU with freedom of movement, you just can't meet them. And I think that's why people, understandably, have become very frustrated. I think people want to see that we've got control. This gives us back control by getting control and using the Migration Advisory Committee to ensure the people coming are ones who contribute to our economy. We can also ensure that immigration will fall under a Conservative government. But we need a Conservative majority to do that. OK. Now, there are reports today that the Home Secretary, Priti Patel, blocked a recent rescue attempt to try and bring back unaccompanied children and orphans from Syria. Is that right? Well, I'm going to be slightly cautious at how I answer this. You have to excuse me, but I'm not going to divulge what's in a newspaper leak of a National Security Council meeting. But I do not recognise a situation where I'm aware of at any point the Home Secretary blocking any kind of rescue mission. What we've always said is, with the children who are caught up in conflict, we will look at them on a case-by-case basis to ensure we're doing the right thing by those children and their families. And we will continue to do that. You can see why people might listen to what you're saying there and saying, look, British children, orphans, in a war zone, we'll look at them on a case-by-case basis. Does it sound a bit heartless? No, it's about looking and making sure we do what's right for those children, what's right for the safety and security of the children, their families, and of course our own forces who would be involved in any situation like this. But we do make sure we look at it on a case-by-case basis so we make the right decision for everybody involved. Are they a security risk, these children? Well, I'm not going to comment on particular security issues. If I matter of national security, I think would be inappropriate to comment on it. But we do look at them on a case-by-case basis. And when I talk about security of a child, it's not just about whether they're a national security risk, it's the safety and security of the child itself as well. OK. OK. Now, moving on to other issues, because there's been claims this week that the Conservative Party members within that group have been offering jobs or peerages to members of the Brexit Party if they stand down. Now, I spoke to Ben Habib, a Brexit Party MEP, yesterday. This is what he said to me. He cited the case of Anne Widdecombe, and then he went on to say, I know there have been lots of conversations going on. They, as in the Conservative Party, are being economical with the truth. Absolutely, it's been going on without a shadow of a doubt. Have these conversations been happening? We have not offered any deals to anybody. I think what's rather surreal with this conversation, not least of all, is the fact that actually as chairman I'm the person who removed Anne Widdecombe's membership of the Conservative Party because she had joined the Brexit Party. It's completely in breach of our constitution. But also because we're the party who's saying we need to get a clear Conservative majority. We are fighting these seats to get Brexit done and deliver for people. What's slightly bizarre with this whole conversation is this is in light of a situation where, in contrast, we're seeing the Liberal Party with lots of small parties, even Labour, talking about restricting choice for people
Yeah,
and
but they're
having to
being
remain
open
alive.
about it.
That's
the
talking about
difference,
doing
isn't
deals.
it?
We're not doing that.
They are being open about what's happening.
Yeah, and we're being open about the fact we are not doing that. We are not offering. Nobody's been offered jobs or anything like that. We are
there any
focused on.
conversations been going on?
We are absolutely focused on having Conservative candidates in all of these seats and saying to people very clearly to get Brexit done, to get on to moving on to our domestic agenda, exciting domestic agenda we've got, investing in our NHS, in our schools, in our police. We need a Conservative majority. The only way to do that is to vote Conservative.
So you can guarantee that there have been no conversations that have been going on about offering jobs to Brexit Party members or candidates?
There's been no job offers. We're not doing deals with anybody. We've been very clear about this from the beginning. The Prime Minister has been very clear about this as well. We are focused on having Conservative candidates and seeking for people to vote for those candidates, not doing deals with people, voting Conservative so we get a Conservative majority. It's the only way to get Brexit done and see our country unleash its potential.
Have any conversations been going on?
I'm not aware of any conversations going on. There's no deals being done. We are fielding Conservative candidates. As the nomination papers that have been published already show, across the country, we are the one true national party that can get a majority, get Brexit done and deliver for our economy and our country.
So Anne Widdecombe, Ben Habib, they're just making it up then?
I have to say, I don't recognise that at all. As I say, this is somebody who actually removed Anne Widdecombe's membership of the party because she's now a member of the Brexit Party. We are focused on getting Conservatives elected. That's the only way we move our country forward and stops Corbyn and the chaos of 2 referendums and what Labour offer next year.
OK. I'm keen to talk about a couple of issues now related to your security brief. Firstly, about Brexit, because there's been a bit of confusion about whether or not under the Brexit deal that Boris Johnson is putting forward, businesses in Northern Ireland would have to face additional bureaucracy, additional costs when exporting to the rest of the UK. Now, if there is any sense that the union is being undermined, there is, of course, a risk, isn't there, that unionists could protest? There could even be violence. Is this something that you are concerned about?
Well, obviously, nobody wants to see any kind of violence or unrest across anywhere in the UK, least of all, obviously, in Northern Ireland. And I think we've got a deal that does work. It delivers. It brings the whole of the UK into a one clear customs union. That's a United Kingdom customs union. That's what we promised to do. It's what the Prime Minister has delivered. Do
you think that there will be additional bureaucracy or checks for businesses exporting to the rest of the UK?
No, I mean, obviously there are customs checks at the moment in the current structure that we have got. So there are some checks that we already do. But as we go forward, the whole point of the deal that the Prime Minister has negotiated, particularly when we get through that implementation period with the future trade agreement, is one that means we can have good fluid trade across the United Kingdom without barriers. There's no question of a border anywhere. We want to keep one clear United Kingdom and one that trades positively with the rest of the world and indeed our partners in Europe.
Michael Gove said yesterday that there would be administrative processes for those businesses. I mean, he's right, isn't he?
Well, there are already administrative processes.
But there will be additional.
Well, what we're working on is making sure that when we get that future trade agreement, we've got good, free, flowing trade with all our partners around the world, including those in the EU. But we're not going to be having borders. We're going to have one customs union for the whole of the United Kingdom, so it's smooth. I'm
interested in the sort of security implications of this. One so-called leading loyalist was quoted in the Times last month saying, if there is a proposal to align Northern Ireland with the south or run a border down the Irish Sea, we'd have no option but to take to the streets. Where that goes afterwards is anyone's guess. Loyalists will not roll over neatly. As Security Minister, is there an increased security risk as a result of the Brexit deal that Boris Johnson negotiated?
No, I don't believe there is at all. And I'll go further, actually. As somebody who's been chairman of the Conservative and Unionist Party, I believe passionately in the United Kingdom being one single United Kingdom, and that's what this deal does deliver.
So you're not concerned about any additional security risks?
Well, look, I'm always concerned about security risks around the whole of the UK for a whole range of reasons. That's why I think we're so fortunate to have such amazing people working in our security services and in our police and the PSNI who keep us safe every day. This deal is a good deal for the United Kingdom, one that keeps it as a United Kingdom and keeps trade flowing smoothly around the United Kingdom in itself.
OK, now while we're talking about security, why was it that the government didn't decide to publish the report by the Intelligence and Security Committee into potential Russian involvement in democracy ahead of the election?
Well, we will publish the report, but these reports do go through, it's a lengthy report, they go through proper processes, pretty much in line with every other report in the last few years, 4 to 6 weeks. That's not unusual. We want to make sure, particularly when national security is involved, we go through that process properly and thoroughly. And when that's done, and obviously the purdah for the general election, which means we can't publish things during the general election, will slow that slightly. But after the general election, that report will be published.
But for everyone understands that it's ready to go. Why hasn't it already been published? This is incredibly important.
Well, there's a difference between what the rumours say around what may be ready to publish. We have to go through a proper process.
So you're saying it's not ready to go?
We have to go through a complete and proper process, particularly on matters of national security. It is quite common. I think the average is 4 to 6 weeks for these kind of documents to come through before they're published. We're well within the realms of that, allowing for PERD of the general election, and it will be published.
An Open Democracy investigations found that the Conservative Party has received significant amounts of money, donations from Russian individuals. We can just have a look at Ben Bradshaw, the Labour MP. He said this: "Now we know one of the reasons Boris Johnson is suppressing the official report into Kremlin penetration of our democracy. It's because of the substantial and growing links between Russian money and the Conservative Party." Is that true?
I think that's hypocritical beyond belief. First of all, we're talking about British citizens. Any donations go through a full legal process and due diligence and are proper donations, and they're from British citizens. We should not prevent British citizens taking and playing their full part in British political life. But coming from a party whose leader sided with Russia over the United Kingdom's intelligence agencies when we had that tragedy in Salisbury, I find that a pretty despicable way to play politics.
The way to really address this, though, would be just to publish a report, wouldn't it?
Well, all of the donations to the Conservative Party are published. They're done by the Electoral Commission. They're completely transparent. But again, people Ben's referring to are British citizens. I think he needs to look to his own leader and the fact that he sides with our enemies like Russia against the UK and our national security, pretty much, it seems, every chance he gets. That's a party I don't trust on Russia.
OK, thank you very much for coming on the programme today. Thank you.